HLN's continuing coverage of the Michael Jackson death trial continues. That seal over my shoulder, the Great Seal of the state of California, means that court is in recess right now, taking their morning break. When the proceedings resume, we'll get you right back into the Los Angeles County Courthouse. And continuing cross-examination, J.L. Michael Flanagan on Dr. Kamingar. Again, he's a sleep expert, pulmonology, critical care. And through this, thought the defense team kind of went on offense a little bit, getting out Dr. Klein's name, Demerol. And my question, I'm sure many of you have the same one. Does it matter if Michael Jackson was addicted and had withdrawals from Demerol? Let's bring in our attorneys. Jeffrey Shapiro, also with us. Michael Barnes, attorney and drug policy advisor. So, Michael, I'll give you first crack at this one. Does that matter in this case, and how much does it?
It matters, but it matters for the prosecution, because if a person has an addictive disorder or is showing signs of drug seeking, the prescriber who is giving care to that individual has an extra greater duty of caution. You make sure that you're going to do extra special treatment for this particular patient, because you know there's a greater risk in this case of abuse of the medications. Now, we heard also today from the defense that they're going to likely say, well, the patient wasn't forthright with the doctor in this case. But that's okay, because we heard then from the expert. He is preempting this defense, saying, well, sorry, there are other things you can do also. You can check with the family members. You can do a drug test. You can just basically gather information through other records, get them from other doctors, from the hospital. So as much as the defense is trying, they're not getting very far.
Got it. Okay. Jeffrey, what's your take on this one? Can that Demerol defense be effective or not?
There is nothing in the medicine that's going to be of any help whatsoever to this defense. I mean, there's absolutely nothing in the medicine. The fact of the matter is, as just pointed out, as anybody who's taken pain medication knows, the more you take it, the more immune you become to it, the more you have to take. So if you've got a person here who's has been taking Demerol and other sedatives, the worst thing you could do medically would be to pour more sedatives on him and then introduce an anesthetic in a non-emergency room hospital setting. This, from a medical standpoint, this can't help the defense in any manner.
Yeah. Michael, you're pointing it out. It seems like Flanagan's trying. I'm not sure if he's scoring or not. I thought someone had a faux pas here when he was talking about medical records. Because, come on, we're all potential patients, and we want our doctors to write down the medication we're taking, what are our vital signs, and Dr. Kamingar's pointing that out. But Flanagan almost is suggesting, well, he could kind of keep it in his head, couldn't he? Let's listen to that.
Where would he get this information from anyway? There's no monitors in the room, so how's he going to get his pulse oximetry? How's he going to get his oxygen levels and everything else? There's no equipment.
That's a good point. He did say they have the pulse oximeter working. Do we have that soundbite, guys, about medical records? Okay, let's listen to that. Well, let's see what went down here in court.
We, as clinicians, taking even care of that one patient that we're doing a procedure on, we still look at trends while we're doing it. We don't just rely on memory. So I would disagree with that. I would say that information is imperative, not just for review later, but as we are taking care of patients.
So you have concluded that as a result of Dr. Murray not writing this stuff down as he went along, that he doesn't know it. Is that your conclusion?
Overall, I'm saying that there is no good way to really be able to follow patterns, and it can be a recipe for disaster.
There you go. I mean, when we're talking about our medical care, we want it written down. Michael, I don't even like it when I go to a restaurant and the waiter or waitress tries to memorize my order. I want that written down.
I'm with you, Mike, absolutely. And, you know, we're not talking about just one moment in time at 3 a.m. on the night before Michael Jackson died that there wasn't a record of the blood pressure or the other vital signs. We're talking about an entire year, because Conrad Murray did not produce medical records for all of 2009. So when this expert comes back and says we're talking about patterns over time, we're talking about more than just covering yourself for litigation. This is about providing quality care. He makes the point, and I don't see how the defense can keep pushing on this.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Jeffrey, the last couple of days, we had the cardiologist, Dr. Steinberg, very powerful witness, laid out the 6 points there of gross negligence that led to Michael Jackson's death. Now they're following up with Kamingar's, basically making the same points. Do you like where the prosecution's going with this? They're really just laying it out there.
Absolutely. Look, this case, in my view, is not defensible from a medical standpoint. I cannot believe that any credible doctor will take the stand on behalf of Dr. Murray to say that what he did was within the standard of care. Because the bottom line is this. Anybody who's gone to a hospital, anybody who's had a medical procedure knows they take a lot of information before the anesthesiologist does anything to you. What happened here was this was a doctor who was not even qualified to administer anesthesia, who was not only doing something he didn't know how to do, but doing it in a bedroom without proper medical devices or care. There is no doctor anywhere who's going to come to court and say that that was appropriate. And when the patient went into arrest, even a pristine patient who could go into cardiac or respiratory arrest, this doctor didn't know how to treat it. He was treating the wrong thing.
Jeffrey, then what's your best defense? What do you do when you take over? When the defense takes over, where are they going?
You know, look, I mean, I understand that everybody has to put forth the defense, but we're talking about the medicine here. And the bottom line of it is there is no medical defense to what this doctor did. None, in my view.
Wow. Oh, Michael, I know you're chomping at the bit here. What about, let me throw out the scenario, and we kind of heard it from the defense, where there's no drip. The defense cannot have any kind of IV propofol drip. It's just a 25-milligram injection. So Murray injected that, and he figures, okay, 15 minutes is out of his system, and at that point, Michael is sleeping on his own. He's tired. He's been up all night. Everybody's safe. I can leave the room. Well, talk to me.
That's so inconsistent with what the experts have said that what they're trying to do here with this defense doesn't really take them anywhere. They're going to try to limit their facts to one point in time, and that will be when they say that Michael Jackson took 8 pills and then somehow injected himself with more propofol. But we heard yesterday from the expert, who was great, by the way, and both of these experts, I think, really pair well with each other, and they are doing a great job. So anyway, we heard that you've got to constantly treat these patients as though they're at risk, and that if you know that someone has a risk of getting the drugs and injecting them or otherwise, you don't put them in that situation. You do not put a drug seeker in a situation with room of drugs. Come on.
And we saw the powerful image of all those vials sitting there right in front of the jury that were recovered from Michael Jackson's bedroom. Great stuff, guys.